What's up, guys? It's Sam Robles from Palo Fishing, and today is part 2 of how we use rubber bands to place our guides. So stay tuned.
In my mind, I've got 'em big red on the line. That's where I go when I'm itching to feed my 7-day addiction.
Alright guys, so I've got my guides here. They're filed down a little bit, ready to start putting on here. But anytime you work on black guides, we always paint them here. So you can paint them with a Sharpie. We've actually got different Sharpies here, some oil-based ones, but these black Sharpies just work fine. So basically, in the event that, depending on what color you're wrapping with, you might be able to see this polished part. So it helps with just painting them black before you put them on. Alright, so a lot of you guys were asking me in part 1 how we actually go ahead. I wanted more details on how to actually put these on with the rubber band, so I'll show you here. So the bigger guides, your first 2 or 3, you can use rubber bands, so you can just buy a bag of assorted sizes. And so I'm going to start off with these bigger ones. You can use something that's about 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch. You can zoom in here and kind of see how we do this. So I've got these lines here, and so you hold it down with one thumb and kind of wrap this here, and you just twist it and wrap it in place. And I like to wrap it 3 to 4 times to really, if I'm really going to be cranking on it. And now I've got all the tension on it with that one finger. And I'll just wrap it over this finger tight and cinch it down on the back side. So now I've got it just like this here. Cut this rubber band, and there you go. And so this actually wasn't my idea. This is actually my uncle's idea. My uncle actually learned how to do this as a kid, making slingshots. And so when we were building rods, he was able to apply the same technique to rod building, specifically for holding guides. So in the last video, I showed you how much tension we can pull on the rod on the blank. But another thing I want to show you guys here is, you can just come in right here. If I did want to wrap on this, I mean, this is, you can get a zoom in right here. I mean, that's on there pretty tight. I mean, that's as close as you can get. And so that actually makes the wrapping part. And I did make a video, I'll link it up here below, up above, but it shows how we use rubber bands to wrap guides. And so again, we don't use tape or glue for doing that. So I'm gonna keep on wrapping these here, and then I'll show you how we actually space the guides. Alright guys, so we've got the bigger guides in place now, and then we're going to chop this down. And actually this is a pretty popular style that we like to do here. It saves a little bit of money, or you can save a little bit of money depending on which guides you're using. But the first 3 we're using American Tackle's Tornado guides for the first 3 as we're reducing this down, and then we'll use the remaining ones. We'll actually use these recoil guides too. So it's a cool looking thing. We build a lot of rods this way here. As people are interested, and it just stands out. But anyways, so when you're putting on these micro guides or any other micro guides, I'm going to show you how we use it. So it's basically you use the smallest rubber band you can get, and they can be a little bit tricky here. So I'm going to show you again how we do it on these micro as well. Just kind of get it up there where you want to do, where your line is. And just start wrapping it. 2, 3, 4. Run it in there and then cinch it back. Cut it, and then just kind of roll your finger. What you're trying to do, you're trying to feel that little tag in that you just cut, roll underneath it. And when it does, you can see that tail end right there. It sticks out. And if that moves any, then it comes out, and then it'll unravel. So I'd like to grab it and pull on it, put additional tension on it. And then I'll just clip off some of these excess ends right there. So that's how we do that. And I'm gonna just keep on doing this for the rest of these guys.
'Cause in my mind, I'm gone fishing. In my mind, I can see that old bobber twitching. In my mind, I've got 'em big red on the line. That's where I go when I'm itching to feed my 7-day addiction.
Alright guys, so I've got all my guides on here. I've actually put the tip on it, the tip top as well. And these rubber bands are actually, they're really good for holding these hook keepers as well too. So I used to put them on the front, I used to put them on the sides. Actually, one of my buddies, he actually explained to me, like, he likes it just perpendicular 90 degrees from the guides in either direction. So if you're reeling in with your left hand, you're holding your rod with your right hand, and you want to put that hook keeper with your left hand, so you put it on that side. If it's someone who's reeling it in with their left hand, or a left-handed I should say, then you do it the opposite. So and not to say it's a big deal, but it's just small little things like that that do that. So shout out to Monty for that tip. But here I'm just going to put the hook keeper on the same way temporarily. I'm not going to load test this, but it'll help with the when it actually comes to wrapping it. So you can get the camera in a little bit closer here, bud. And so yeah, so same thing. Actually, this is a little bit harder because I'm holding it with my right hand. It just doesn't feel as natural, if you will, the other way it did. But it's the same type of wrap. I left my scissors down there, but I just use this blade, kind of let it rock on under, and there you go. So. And then when we come to wrap it, it'll stay in place pretty good there. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to check our guide spacing. So alright guys, so I've got my reel on there. I know this is a bait casting reel and I'm using it on a spinning, but it doesn't really matter. I'm really just trying to get some line and put some tension on it. So I've got it clamped up the same way I had the last one clamped up onto my table over here. And so what I'm going to really start doing now, I'm just going to start pulling up on this the same way I did here. And really what I'm looking for is any sharp angles coming off this blank. So I'm looking at each of these. I know you can't see this line here, it's a clear line, but I'll sketch it up on the board here. And so really, actually, this is the only one I really see. There's maybe this one up here that needs to come up a little bit. So it's my first, second, third. It's my fourth guide needs to come up. And if this comes up, I need to space them all. Bring them all up together, but I'm really just kind of bending this to see if I have any really sharp angles, and I'll show you in the board here in a minute why that's important. But so it looks like from the fourth one down, they all have to come up a little bit, so that may actually require me to place another guide. So I'm going to do this several times and make sure I get everything properly spaced here. But you keep on repeating this process until you find yourself in a situation where your blank is bending and your line is bending good. That's important, so that's why it's really important to do these. Sometimes we buy kits and they come with 7 or 8 guides or 6 running guides, and we just space them out accordingly to whatever. But I find a lot of times that the spacing is a little aggressive, and I like to put additional guides in for that purpose. Like sometimes we'll have 1 or 2 extra guides, especially if you're building on a casting guide, on a casting rod up on top. You don't want that line to touch your blank, and if you're running with these concept style guides or these small micro guides, you'll end up finding yourself in that same situation. So actually I'm going to take you here to the board and show you why this is important. Alright, so if we look at a loaded blank, right, and we can look at this from different extremes, right? So this is our reel right here, and if we only had 1 guide and a tip top, our line would be right here. Alright, so you have all your tension is in this line, and if you're loading it this way, it's that way, right? But anyways, this tension is right here, and really what this does, it applies a lot of stress to this area. This bottom part is in compression, this top section of your blank is in tension, and it's really based, and the further this distance is right here, your radius, you're applying more torque to this area as well as you're stressing it out. So for that reason, we try to follow these close lines here to try to minimize that distance right there to it. So, and what that means is your blank's going to last longer, it's going to be more sensitive, and your hook sets are going to be more accurate, so you don't have to load this entire blank with one big pull. So anyway, so these are some of the reasons why we find that properly spacing your guides are. A lot of manufactured rods, there's nothing wrong with them, but you'll find that they're a little bit more aggressive, so they may skip a guide here and here and here, and so you'll see something like this, which isn't it's not a clear, it's not a really good curve, and a lot of that has to do with the cost with the guides, right? So by cost of guides and labor, so by removing 2 or 3 guides or 1 or 2 guides, you save on that guide in itself, which may not really be a lot, but you actually save in the amount of time that it takes to put that. That's one less guide to wrap, one less guide to purchase, one less guide to finish, and so you can pump out your guides faster. So anyways, this is why it's really important to properly space your guides, and it's really what, as a custom rod builder, as our handcrafted rod builder, you guys should pay a lot of attention to it. So the other nice thing about having the rubber bands in there is that it holds the guide pretty well in place when you're wrapping your guide. So just show you a quick video. Actually, the other thing, since I have you guys here, is another little hack that we have on our power wrappers. We have a kind of a man-made tension bar here, and really what this allows us to do is if you're wrapping with it and you mess up a little bit, you have a little bit of play here, little tensions. You don't just lose it all as you go. So I'm just gonna wrap this really quick. This is actually, I'll have an underlay in the final rod, but for what I'm doing right here, I'll just show you how these rubber bands work pretty good for holding this in place. I'm not paying too much attention. This isn't a real wrap, just trying to get it out there just to show the point. So there you go. The rubber band not only helps you space your guides, load test them, it helps you align them, and it really makes it easy to wrap. And these bigger guides may not be too big of an issue because the tape holds these on pretty good, but for those micro guides, I mean, I started off buying this tape. I'm sure a lot of you guys have it right here, the small 1/16 of an inch, and even with this, it's still difficult to put those micro guides on using tape. So definitely rubber bands have a lot of value, or add a lot of value in your rod building, and just make it that much simpler and help you put out a better product. Alright guys, I hope you got value out of that. I tried to answer some of the questions that came up. I wasn't planning for this to be a two-part. I just got a lot of questions over the last few hours. Hey, how do you do this? Can we see more? What about the proper spacement? And I didn't really intend this to be a full tutorial. I just really wanted to show you how you could use rubber bands to simplify your rod building. So if you got any value of this, please hit the like button below. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'll keep on putting as much information as I can out there. And really my goal is to help everybody become a better rod builder, and for us to share the information that we've learned over the last few years. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.